Alright, what's up? Welcome back to another Advanced Wars by Web replay commentary. Been a while since I've done one of these videos. Been pretty busy overall, but trying to get back into the swing of things on this and, trying to be a bit more consistent. Excuse me. So, yeah. And, of course, something pops up as soon as I decide to start recording. That's fantastic. Yeah, whatever. Anyways, so, as you can see here up at the top, the map is Settles is Still Water. Very fun map to play for sure. It's very big. You get a big economy. You can have pretty big dynamic fights going on. It's a tier 4 game, fog match, as you can see. So I'm playing, my opponent is playing Koal. So all of his units get plus 10% firepower when on road, which is specifically these types of tiles. Not bridges or shoals or anything like that, just road. His Forced March costs 3 stars, and it gives all of his units plus 1 movement. And then his road bonus is set to 20%. And then for Trails of Woe, for 5 stars, it gives all of his units 2 movement and makes his firepower on roads 40%. So he's very similar to Adder. I would say Adder is probably slightly better due to the fact that he can use his little power a little bit easier than Koal, as well as, yes, he doesn't get a firepower bonus on anything compared to Koal getting it on roads, but getting it on roads is not the most beneficial thing. I mean, ending your movement on roads does kind of suck for having lower defense. And as you can see, I'm playing my standard Tier 4 CO, Jess. Ground vehicles get 10% firepower. All other units, including infantry, get minus 10%. Turbocharge gives all vehicles plus 1 movement and resupplies all fuel and ammo, giving the vehicles also 20% firepower and then 40% firepower with overdrive, and giving vehicles 2 movement in addition to resupplying all units, including air, sea, and infantry. The main reason why I wanted to go over this game in particular was because of the fact that I think this player is pretty new overall, and there was a lot of improper usage of transports, which caused him to just kind of spiral down. I will admit, I know a bit about opening theory on this map, so I have a pretty strong opening play, but it's after around like turn 3 or 4, well, not that early, maybe around like turn 5 or so, kind of drops off. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. And for some reason it just decides to skip him building, but as you can see, he moves his black boat not onto the harbor but right here. Maybe he's assuming that you can load in from any water tile, but he will find out that is not the case. So I go ahead and move my black boat first, and get my infantry moving out. He goes and immediately captures the harbor, which now prevents him from being able to ferry anything until this harbor is clear. So I think you can already kind of see where his issues are going to be pretty soon. Now I go ahead and unload an infantry off over here to start capturing up here, capping the base and moving out with my other infantry. He moves towards the other harbor, starts capping there, and then he actually just ends turn. Doesn't build anything. I don't know if he's, I didn't know if he was saving up for something when I was initially watching this battle, or what, but yeah, it just builds no units, which is a horrendous thing to do early on. But yeah, I go ahead and do day 3 recon, start getting this moved over here because I'm under the assumption he's going to be dropping some stuff off over here that I want to try and interrupt. I go ahead and get the black boat back so that way I can continue ferrying out. And he still is at least capturing properties, but he moves his black boat first and then moves the infantry off, and then he goes double recon, which is funny to me. So At different intervals in the map, I'll be taking a look at our income and prop and unit difference as well, just to show how he's set himself so far behind with just a few turns. But yeah, triple infantry this turn. Don't have a whole lot of money. And goes ahead and caps that. And then he does something that I think is really weird. He moves this recon here and this one up here. Definitely this recon going this way and this one moving this way makes the most sense, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's 2 whole spaces ahead of this recon this way, and this recon is up here, which is a lot closer. Like, this is a horrible spot. You have to go around the forest, basically, with the way you did this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, it's just crazy. I actually think recons might only have 7 movements, so it could have gone here. Either way, inoptimal movement for the recons, in my opinion, for sure. And then, yeah, it doesn't put it on the harbor, so still trying to get something in there, but doesn't know how to do it. Go ahead and continue capping up here. There's a nice little chain up here, you know, for cities, so your infantry doesn't really get any wasted movement, which is nice. I go ahead and now decide I'm going to capture the harbor. Go ahead and do that now, because I've got my infantry up here. At this point, you know, I have established my presence. I'm fine taking a turn off if it means, you know, getting that extra income now and making sure the black boat stays fueled without having to do anything. Go ahead and build my day 5 recon as well. Because recons still need vision to hit. So worst case scenario, this recon scouts, this one follows up. Continues. You know, he is still at least doing good with capping the stuff around him, so that's always good to see. And finally, he loads it in. It just took forever. And you're really going to see the differences in our recon plays pretty soon in terms of the movement. So he's got one right here and one over here. He also has built the first tank. He's ahead on that. So at this point, you know, I didn't see anything here, so I go ahead and move in the forest, and I see there's nothing, which keys me to think he has brought nothing over, which is wild. Go ahead and get the other recon out and, you know, initiate some more captures. I finalize all of my harbors now, have all of that, and I finish the 3 cities up here. And then infantry, tank, infantry. So, you know, same builds from the same bases as well. But just to kind of compare where we're at right now. So I'm at 12,000 income, whereas he's only at 8. And if we look up here, I have 4 properties captured. So this is where my income advantage is actually coming in, from having these properties here and having moved up. As well as I have 5 more units than he does. What's that? 5 more infantry, which is just meaning I'm going to be capturing more. As you can see, 3 of those 5 infantry are right here doing work. You know, whereas he's just out of place and not really where he would need to be taking advantage of the best that he could do. Let me see here. And the value difference, as you can see, you know, it clearly just shows I have few infantry over him. That's the only difference that we've got kind of going on there. Continues to move out and capture, you know, per normal, nothing crazy here. He moves his recon down here, so he is now steadily moving it to start trying to get vision over here, assuming that, I guess, I'm over here at this point. I don't know. And as we see here, he moves it onto a shoal, so he is where he can drop off, but he does not drop off. And he only has 1 infantry in here as well. It doesn't show it, but we know he has the 1 infantry in there. So, yeah, and now he moves this recon down. So had he moved it over here, he would know that I'm over here, and that would key him in on what he needs to do and where he needs to be. But instead he goes down towards the middle, and I will admit these are pretty lucrative, getting, you know, the triple city chain here. You do want to start trying to take that. Because if you can control these, if you control more than your opponent on this, that will definitely swing income in the game tide in your favor. Goes ahead, infantry, 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 and passes over. Although he could have built another tank, but that would have drained his fun. So looks like he's trying to save up for a little something something. So I just like, fuck it, I'm gonna go ahead and go up here, you know? If I get interrupted, I get interrupted. I bring this down because I'm gonna try and start coming up on here. Excuse me. Go ahead and finally move off of the port there. And get my other recon coming, and I just move this one pretty brazenly up over here to just try and see if I can see anything. And had I been one over or one up or something like that, I would have seen his recon, but it is what it is. Nobody plays perfect, that's for sure. And again, this is not meant to try and rag on this guy. I think fairly clearly he's newer. And, you know, we've all made mistakes, you know, just starting out in a game for sure. This is definitely not to try and bash. This is mainly just to kind of show the difference in, you know, proper transport usage, especially like on this map, is so key to establishing yourself. Like, we'll see at the end of this turn just how different things are. I go ahead and I build a mech over here. Main reason being that I know that I'm going to be delivering these infantry over here, and if I have an infantry ready, I mean, it wouldn't be able to be loaded in. So I can move the mech over, save a little bit of time, because it only moves 2. I build my first anti-air, thinking, you know, he could have a battle copter coming in. His air units are pretty good because they don't care about defense anyways, because they don't get anything. So just being on the roads is just all benefit for him. Infantry there. Pass over, and as we can see again, I've got 5 more units than him. My value is also a lot higher than his comparatively, and I'm making 6,000 more than he is per turn. Like with him saving some money, he gets what I'm getting per turn cycle now. And as we can also see, I have 2 captures going on that are likely going to be uninterrupted, which is going to push me even further. Although he does have some caps of his own, he's finishing and initiating, that's for sure. And he does build the battle copter. He goes ahead and just does that right then. Finished up another capture. And there he does unload an infantry. And it's right in between my 2 recons. So he goes and he just parks himself over here. He's like, alright, well, if you're going to start capping, I get to see it and I get to try and stop it. Which, to be fair, is good. But he's kind of starting to try and commit into the middle. Which is odd, I feel like, early on. I feel like it's misplacing a lot of his units. He builds in a recon and then double infantry and passes over. So I go ahead and finish that city up there and start capturing there. And yeah, I just go ahead and fire from the comm tower and then fire there. Guaranteed kill. Took out the infantry, so first blood right there as well. And I start doing my cappy caps over here, which is nice. Go ahead and bring off the 2 infantry, and I keep moving out with the mech, build another infantry. I actually still don't have proper cycling set up for my chain that I had wanted yet, if I'm not mistaken. So it kind of puts me in a weird spot. I build another infantry and a tank, and pass over. Yeah, you can just see major difference in income. This is going to be the death of him. So he does see my recon when he moves into the forest, because his black boat can't see anything. Although if he watched the replay, he would have seen me come at him as well, but that's besides the point. Just got some dudes moving out, and then he builds another black boat. Which is funny to me because he's not even using the first one super effectively, so I don't really get the point of the other one. Building another transport is a lot of money to sink in. That's 7,500. That is how much. That's a little bit more than a tank. And if it's not going to even be used effectively, you know, almost no point having it. And he could have dumped that one in there too, but didn't. Hate to see it. Anyways, he gets to see my tank now. So he moves his into there and then doesn't build anything out of his bases again. No infantry spam or anything. So I go ahead and I start pulling back. I get trapped by the recon, which is annoying. And I go ahead and start initiating a capture to just be like, hey, you're going to have to keep your thing around here if you're going to want to take a hit. I bring my anti-air up, which is actually kind of pulling it away from the battlecopter. Should have gone more over here, but that's what it is. Got the infantry line moving up, got the mech and that infantry. And I go ahead and build a tank out of this base. Go ahead and just need to start getting stuff, build battlecopter, infantry to save up some money. Can initiate a capture there, get some infantry moving, finish up there. And since I have the city, I can also go ahead and start working on backwards as well. And from that turn, the beginning of day 10, so each of us have taken 9 turns so far. I'm making 8,000 more than he is. I have about 20,000 more value, along with 8 more units than him. Granted, that one of them is due to me killing it, but still. So he, seeing my tank, which, by the way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, could have easily first striked it from a city and getting that defense. Instead, hits my infantry, and then moves his recon back, so it doesn't even kill it. So he's left his tank on a road for me to get a first strike off of. So he moves his black boat here, which I'm assuming he thinks he can drop the infantry off, but again, you have to be on a shoal. Bringing the battlecopter down. Oh, he's got recons and battlecopters here, along with infantry and black boats, and then he's built a single tank and has 2 recons and infantry up here. This guy is definitely interesting, that's for sure. And he also still doesn't know that I have all these. He just doesn't know. He does load an infantry in there finally and builds out a tank. In fact, he can build another tank, which he does, and then an infantry. So now he's finally getting up there in tanks. He has now matched my tank number, but he is going to not be matching that pretty soon. So go ahead and I move off so I can give my tank a first strike from the city to just minimize as much damage as possible. And I go for the kill with the anti-air. I do miss it, but it's okay. I go ahead and continue capping here. So I have one of these cities already, which is nice, as well as finishing up some more, and I finally start capturing my comm tower now. If I had it, this would have already been dead. I wish I had it already, but it is what it is. It's going to be there for the more important fights. Go ahead and dump off the mech there. Get the tank rolling and battlecopter coming over as well. I still don't know that he has that coming. That's on me. Infantry, build a transport, infantry, and tank. The reason why I built the transport copter there is because I really just want to be trying to, boost these infantry over here. I've got the black boat kind of managing that here. I want to make sure these guys are getting where they need to be. And it's also not the same amount as a tank and very restricted in its movement, so I feel comfortable with that purchase there. I do build another transport later that I think maybe is unnecessary, but I did have good intentions and good plans with it. So he doesn't know I've got any recon, but he can see I've got a ton of infantry, and he's moving down there. So this is going to be not where I'm trying to win this side from him. This is really just a matter of trying to stall this side, because I already have most of mine here. Preventing him from taking it and trying to even up is what my goal is at this point. Goes ahead and pulls the tank back. Good, try and keep it alive. He brings this down but doesn't drop the infantry off here. I guess maybe he assumes he can't drop on this type of tile. He builds an anti-air without knowing that I have air units, but I'm assuming because he sees my anti-air, he is like, okay, I should probably have one as well, which is fair enough as well. Let's see here. He does get a first strike off of my infantry, sadly, weakening my presence, but it's okay. It'll work out. Anti-air, double infantry, and pass over. Day 11 coming in. I go ahead and just cap over here. I cap right in front of him, meaning he's going to have to keep the recon there to get it. I go ahead and get my comm tower as well. And now all of my engagements, my infantry at least, are at just regular firepower. All of my vehicles are now at plus 20 rather than plus 10, which is super nice. I want to put the mech in the forest so that way he has to scout it to then hit it. Oh, what did I do? Oh yeah, cap down there. I go ahead and I do first strike the recon, and I do this because I was very close to being able to kill it, and that's why I figured, okay, you know, if I can kill the recon with this move, then it's worth it. And you can boost from this black boat on the HQ, which I just decided to take full advantage of. You know, no reason not to. Of course, I know he's got a battlecopter now, so I'm getting mine moved over to try and handle his, essentially. Go ahead and get stuff loaded up. I get the T-copter in position to boost the infantry as well. And then I build another battlecopter. And with all the money I've saved up, I built a Neo tank. Main reason I did that was to make sure that I had a heavy hitting unit that is also decently mobile. And you know, it gets benefits from my firepower, so might as well. And just, yeah, looking at this, I'm making 8,000 more than he has. I have 11 more units, and I'm getting close to double his value. Like, this is just really showing how ineffective transport use can really mess up your early game economy, which spirals into your late game. Like, I'm making 8,000 more than he is, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 properties up here that he just... Actually, he does have that one. Oh, but I do have this one here too, which I have here as well, and I have this one. So I have... Yeah, that's where the 8 comes in, yeah. 6 here, 1 here, 1 here. Although, like I said, you know, he is finishing up some caps, and he is still getting to initiate and start doing some. He kills and stops that capture there, and goes for the kill. Goes ahead and starts capping in the middle too. You know, gotta try and take it where you can. He's starting to get his massive units there. He's got 2 tanks and an anti-air. He built a battlecopter, an anti-air, and an infantry, but can't build anything else because he didn't manage the best of funding. And then he just passes over. So this infantry just stayed on here, didn't move. Wild. So this cap is guaranteed unless he stops it, which is a possibility, but I get this city, which is awesome. And I basically trap it to his recon, so that way, you know, I'm trying to like bait him into maybe attacking the infantry, but if he moves it away, then my mech is, you know, sort of done its job because he doesn't want to get hit by the mech. I go ahead and just strike on there. I'm trying to get him out of that picture. I go ahead and I put my infantry on the cities to heal him, since it's right at the front lines of where I'm at for it, so it's not like I'm pulling back for it. I go ahead and get on the comm tower to just kind of, like I said, it's just to try and prevent him from doing it, not anything else. So yeah, I go ahead and bring my units over here. So he does have technically 3 tanks, but this doesn't really count. So he's not really outnumbering me much in terms of raw firepower. I'm trying to keep my battlecopter safe and out of hopeful vision range, and I have 2 more tanks kind of on the way. This one is going towards here, but I'll soon realize that I don't need it over there. It's not going to be beneficial. This time, rather than boosting it off, I just ferry him. Get the battlecopter coming in, and this is where I build my transport. I built a lander, and the reason why I did this was because rather than having pretty much all my vehicles have to come through here, I can have some of them come around here, get dropped off up here, and kind of start doing like a pincer maneuver in terms of getting the damage in. So go ahead and build a tank, infantry, pass over because that used up a lot of money. So I had plans and ideas. He sees I have 2 tanks here, by the way, and hits my anti-air. He stays with the recon to get the free shot, so my bait worked. But then he holds back with these, so Home Dude is just playing a little weird in my opinion. Does get to strike me while I'm there, does a lot of damage, and he continues actually to attack and gets some pretty solid damage rolls in, bringing it down to 2. Did a solid job overall. Building another tank, so he does have enough for another infantry if he does move that infantry off of the port. He even uses the black boat to repair, which prevents him from being able then to build an infantry, actually, because you do pay cost for your repairs. Passes it back over to me. Cool. Go ahead and get the first strike off there, which was nice. Pull back for healing. And I was thinking about capping on the comm tower, but I decided it is better just to weaken what he has here again and just try and stall this as much as possible. I finally get the city, and I get this one too. Get the one up there. I can pull back and then first strike his recon, which is awesome. That mech has earned most of what it needed to in already. And I'm able to then, just take out the tank here, which is always nice. And at this point I decided to just start getting a little bit aggressive overall with my movement, just forcing him to have to make plays and do stuff. Get the tank loaded in, and I decided to go ahead and just drop that one off. Infantry, bring the transport copter back for getting that infantry up, and that's when I decided, yeah, I don't need this over here. It's not going to be as useful. But I do move to try and start taking more of the middle, as you should. I do decide then to boost him off later in the turn. And then I built a artillery, battlecopter, infantry. And I don't know why I moved him up. But yeah, so reason for the artillery is just because it has lower movement, kind of like what I did with the mech. Same line of thinking there. Either way, he moves the anti-air down, along with the battlecopter and his tank, and he goes in and builds another tank. So now he's really starting to divide his forces. It seems like he's going to be sending whatever is built from this base down here. So he's committed 2 battlecopters, 1 tank, and an anti-air over here. Whereas the only offensive force that I have committed over here were 2 recons and 1 battlecopter. All the other fighting forces up here, which means he's going to be outnumbered very soon. He builds another tank and an infantry, so he has done that. I do let him get a road first strike off my tank, which does suck. And then he moves his anti-air just deep into, here, deep in, close to the middle, basically, to get a shot in, and tries to kill my tank, fails. Shoots on the infantry, which is wild. He should have shot on the mech, I would say. Maybe would have taken slightly more damage off of the recon, maybe would have brought it down to 9, but would have been worth it just to make the mech unusable. He does get some infantry kills, and he repairs his tank again to get a shot off on me. And he does also repair his recon as well, which I find funny. Back over here on my turn, can finish a capture there. And I go ahead and just try and save what I can. At this point, I decide to do fight the tank rather than the recon, just because 1 tank of mine is going to deal massive damage to it, and at this point the mech has now dutifully earned himself in. He is fine, doesn't need to do anything else. Go ahead and, as you can see, taking shots. I kill the anti-air here, and I'm able to initiate 2 more captures so I can actually secure the middle, is basically what I'm doing. And I was bringing that tank up here to start healing itself, and I can cap more on the middle. And at this point, yeah, he's just here. Might as well kill him. I can. And I decide to kill his recon too, again, because I can. I moved the tank cautiously. I'm afraid of him having a medium tank or neo tank himself. I didn't know, I hadn't mathed out how much he was making. I just knew I was making more, but I didn't realize how different it was. So I really didn't have much to be scared about, but yeah, go ahead and kill off the infantry there. Kill the battlecopter, kill that. And I was tempted to start capturing here, but because I saw the battlecopter, I wanted to just protect mine from a first strike. Let it live as long as possible, essentially. As you can see here, just getting the infantry, pushing him out over. I start moving this battle copter up to go ahead and require him to have an anti-air again if he wants to deal with it. And now this tank is primed and ready for action, that's for sure. Got the artillery and tank coming in, infantry, and then I built a bomber and an infantry as well. And here we can just see how much of a difference it's made on day 15. So the capture limit for this map, by the way, is 35. So I am 6 properties away from having that, obviously. But in comparison, I'm making 12,000 more. I have a little bit more than double his units, and I have a little bit more than double what he has in value as well. So, he's got his superpower ready, though. His superpower does give him some extra firepower on roads, and 2 movement is fantastic, but with the current position, I don't think a superpower would be able to help. So he moves that anti-air first, and then he pops his power, which blew my mind when I was watching this on the replay, because this, 2 extra spaces, bam, start shooting on these to kill them. But he does get to take advantage of the higher movement with, most of his other units as well. He doesn't even attack me, which would have been a perfect time to attack as well. He does get to do the nice little move around maneuver there. And he does take some first strikes as well. Not as many as he possibly could. He does interrupt this capture here, which is good, because these are definitely his. So the fact that I am, trying to take that is crazy. He repairs and unloads the infantry, which is nice. Good transport usage. He kills my infantry there, which disappointed me. He pulls back the tank, builds another, moves that out, and passes over. So this turn I'm like, capture, 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 and then I go ahead and I pop my normal power, turbocharge, rather than overdrive. And the reason for this is that I didn't feel like I needed the higher firepower from overdrive. I would only need just the small amount. All of my vehicles are within range of what I'd want them to hit. The moving an extra space wouldn't help with how close everything already is. So I do scout the infantry there so I can go ahead and kill it, which was nice. I scout this forest just to see if there's anything in there before moving in with my neo tank. And yeah, I'm able to do heavy damage. I go ahead and I start capturing on his property here as well, to take that away from him. I get that tank in with 4 HP to just get the kill. Anti-air's in the forest in case something comes up, and I decide to go ahead and start hitting the black boat as well to make him have to do something and let him know, hey, your HQ's under attack. I'm coming. And the fact that I have the comm tower, well, it doesn't, really helps me in this case as well. It's just putting him so far behind when he really doesn't need or want to be. Goes ahead and gets the artillery and tank out. Once again, boosting with the black boat, always fun. And I go ahead and move him here to stop any movement from coming on. Nothing's going to break through here right now to interrupt whatever's going on here. All of it's going to have to come from up here. And I do still cap over here, be like, hey, you've got to keep your recon there if you want this, not to be taken out. I do cover up my battle copter again as well. I want to try and shield it and protect it as best as possible. Another infantry, tank, another bomber, and pass over to the next turn. Oh my goodness. So yeah, so I've nearly taken over, I'm capturing one of his cities. This is technically one of his cities, he just didn't have it yet. So he does initiate the capture there. Starts capping the comm tower now. He's brought his tank and anti-air in, but he's not actually taking engagements, just moving in. I guess maybe he's getting trapped. He builds a medium tank there, continues to move down. Does get a shot off with the battle copter on the infantry. Does bring the recon to where it still doesn't actually interrupt my capture, which is awesome for me. He caps on that property, and then he resigns, which is honestly fair because, like I said, the capture limit is 35. So just looking at this, this would get me up to 34, or sorry, 33, 32. Sorry, 33, 34. Which means I just have to capture one property and I win, as well as I'm pressuring hardcore his HQ as well. Like this medium tank, yeah, it's just not going to get where it needs to be in time because it'll be, bam, get hit by the Neo tank. And, you know, with as much stuff as going on, I would be able to get my power again to help secure any type of KO on the black boat. So, and as we can see from the end result here, you know, I was making 32,000. I was making so much more that, like, I was making essentially about half of what he was making extra or more for the entirety of the match. There was, like, the only time we were ever close was at the very beginning. Like, once I started capturing the properties up over here, is what put him so far behind. As well as not having, you know, transports being used in the right way. Like his black boats, after he built them, basically stayed around here and just repaired other units a little bit, which then made his unit count lower as well because he would have like a little over 1,000 left over and then be under 1,000 by the time he was done using it. Yeah. Definitely something that is hard to get used to, I will say, is using transports effectively. I'm definitely not saying I am, you know, the master at it for sure. But yeah, so thank you guys for watching the replay commentary, and that's pretty much it.